Yay. Well, and people were really excited you were coming, and you just got such nice compliments and feedback on Facebook. I just loved that.
Oh,
It was so nice. People
thank
are like,
you.
she's the best.
Oh, thank you.
I know, isn't it nice? You somebody says your name and they're like, yay, it's you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh no, I could skip that one.
Right now, catch that on the replay. All right, welcome absolutely everybody to today's Eat and Greet, and I am so thrilled to have fellow astrologer Linda Byrd here, and it was so cool because we met at Astrology Hub.
Yes.
So and maybe we would have met, in another time, place, realm, or whatever, but it was just a nice place where I think that Amanda does a good job of not only bringing astrology out, but bringing astrologers together as well. So we have astro friends here.
Yes. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful.
Yes,
Yes.
me too. So hopefully in the next hour, everybody, we will give you something that is worth the time you took to show up. And I surely think that we will absolutely do that because Linda is absolutely fabulous. And as we were talking about our concept to bring together the idea of merging energetic psychology and just the energy work with the astrology to really get in there is incredible. And that's what your work is all about. So
Mhm.
thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me. I'm honored. Yes.
Absolutely. Are you joking? I watched your lunar cycle and I was like, wow, I'm going to get this nice friend.
Well, thank you. That's very kind.
So I always ask people when they come on, can you tell us a little about how you got into astrology?
I was always interested. I have a Scorpio, um, Jupiter, or Jupiter and Scorpio. I've
Ooh.
always been interested in metaphysical things. And then when I was early 20s, a girlfriend bought me a reading for my birthday, and that hooked me. I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. And so I just started studying kind of on my own for a while. And then I started studying with teachers. And yeah,
And there it is, just a couple days ago, huh?
yeah, it feels like it, but it's
And
been a
so
while.
how did the merging of really working with the energy principles come in for you?
Well, I was doing some workshops with a psychotherapist, and she mentioned energy psychology. She said she thinks what she does is energy psychology. And I said, well, that's what I think astrology is. And she said, well, there's a conference coming up like next week. She said, do you want to come? And so I kind of jumped in, paid full price for everything, which is not what I like to do. But, and it changed my life because I learned that there are many ways that we can make change in the energy field and change in people's lives very quickly and gently. And so I just started seeing in charts where the charts kind of talk to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there would just be things that jump out as I'm working with a client. They say things and I make notes as to things that we could work on. And then I just started using different kinds of modalities, and it's evolved over time. And so now I use kind of this conglomeration or a hybrid version of everything, and it depends on who it is and what their issue is, but it's pretty it's pretty magical, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think anytime we can have a reading or a session and do the consultation, and of course give astrology, which is a technical craft to give, but also leave with some strategy and some healing. That
Mhm.
is always a gorgeous interaction, I think.
Yes. And because I at first I think astrology, just the awareness is a huge gift to
Mhm.
help people understand what I call their default settings so that they could make conscious choice. But when you can actually move the energy, um, it's I just feel really lucky to be part of that.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, can you tell us a little bit more about that? What is the energetic psychology that then actually gets applied?
well, there's different modalities. Everything's energy, right? Quantum physics is showing us that everything is energy. And I was just watching a video by Greg Braden last night, and he was talking about the field of potential. And I thought that's a perfect way to look at a
Mhm.
chart because it shows us the energetic potential for this particular person. And what he said was that we whatever we focus on, it's like we take that piece out of the matrix and that's what we make our reality.
Mhm.
So most of us operate in default. And so this is where I think the value of astrologers are. We bring in and we help people to see what their default setting is so that they could make a conscious choice. And so with the energy psychology, what we do is we actually work with the energy field and we change that pattern of the thinking, like people think, oh, my mother was horrible and blah, blah, blah. And you just kind of work with that energy and you actually reconnect. What I think is you reconnect to the sacred in a sense, and you start to see things in a different way. And I think I also wrote down what Wayne Dyer, this is something that came in
Oh, yeah.
last night, and then it came in again this morning. So I thought, I think you're supposed to share this. And if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I think that's exactly what we experience when we do astrology and bring people's awareness to the higher octave of their charts.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a variety of different things. I was certified in NLP when I lived in Austin, which I used at first, just simple things. I think that we can try that. We can do that as a group at some point.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really fun and it's quick and easy and anybody could do it. And then I studied a lot of other things like HeartMath and dream work. A lot of times your information comes to you through your dreams, or a client will share with me a dream. People are having a lot of really profound dreams right now.
Hmm.
Too. Yeah. And so Carl Jung said that a dream left uninterpreted is like a letter from a dear friend left unopened. So
Wow.
it's interesting if they have a big dream right before we meet, then we can work with the energy of what that message that came through that dream is. Or there's a common one is EFT, and this is what I started with, energy freedom technique, where it's tapping, which is very common, or people are using that quite a lot now.
Yeah.
And then it's evolved into uh, something called heart assisted therapy, which is another thing that we could do together if we have time, which is very interesting and so profound. Um, and so we have that, and that's evolved into working with the Stargate, which takes us into the quantum field. And so mixing heart assisted therapy with inner child work is amazing. So that's just there's others, but those are my main tools. And so it's like you have. I'm sure that if people are listening, we've all studied a lot of different things, but to put them together, I think it's time for us to put these things together to really help people to actually heal faster. And I don't want to use the word heal, but evolve or to start using the higher frequencies of their charts.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's one of the real brilliant things that Stephen Forrest talks about. Like, you can go to a psychologist, you can do all of these things, but the real gift of astrology is speed. And then we put
mhm,
that speed together with techniques to go ahead and evolve. And it's like maybe you don't have to live that for the next 6 months of your life. You can actually get on with getting on at a higher
mhm,
vibration
immediately.
immediately. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wow. Well, yeah, we're open for exercises over here.
Okay, good.
I have found out that on the eat and greets, we like food, slides, and exercises.
Okay. All right.
So,
Well, I have some slides at the end, just to show some charts to see what was the clue that gave me the um, um, path to what kind of um, modality would be using. So
yeah. And
yeah,
this is like prominent timing to be everybody bringing their ideas and their modalities together as we come into the Aquarian energy, where it's like, what is your thing that you add to the whole to kind of make us better?
exactly,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Great.
And you see charts. I mean, I've seen a lot of Taurus people lately. You know how you go in the streets and you have And, a lot of them are studying shamanic work. And so shamanic astrology is becoming more popular again. So
Sure.
we just have these different things with our charts kind of set us up for where our specialty is, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, which is so funny you say that because I'm a Taurus. And while I'm not studying shamanic astrology, everything outside for me has been connected to that shamanic realm, from sweats to, even just watching the animals that are around me. I can pick up on that a little bit more quickly than I can sometimes other things. And
Right.
it almost feels like a calling back to it, or like a remembering that I know how to work with those symbols.
Exactly. And I think that's what's going on with the Aquarian age too, or where we really are, um, is for us to become more in touch with our innate inner knowing
Hmm.
and our connection to our higher self or to source, whatever you want to call it, but to really hone that energy of our inner intuition
Yeah.
and to trust that more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're ready, I'm ready, because I'd like to see this thing in action. I would love to see what you do. How do you integrate this? How? Just the great
Okay.
how.
All right. Well, I thought what we could do is start with something from HeartMath because that
Okay.
will change people's energy and kind of get us into the same space. So it's called, I don't know if you've heard of HeartMath. Are you familiar with
I
Charmaine?
haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, HeartMath has been around for a long time and they do research on the intelligence of the heart. And they found that we have more intelligence in the heart than the brain, that only 10% of the time is the brain communicating with the heart, but 90% of the time the heart is communicating with the brain.
Mm,
But as human beings, we tend to give lots of power to the brain when there's so much intelligence that comes from the heart. So what they call is coherence. And or what we're going to do is we're going to do a little exercise in coherence. And what that does is it connects us up, you might say, to
all
to our
right.
whole self. I'll call it that. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a deep breath. And then if you could just imagine that you're breathing from your heart, which is just imagine your heart is actually doing the breathing. So we'll take another deep breath from the heart. And then just picture in your mind something that you love, some person or a pet or nature, something that you just really love. Just feel your heart with this loving vibration. And then take a deep breath and just breathe that into your heart. And then breathe out and just feel that vibration of love and joy and um, and gratitude. Just gratitude is so huge to change the energy field. So anyway, just take another deep breath in, just strengthen that energy, that feeling you have, and release. And when you're ready, you can come back.
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel good?
It does. It's a wonderful, nice and tingly and more relaxed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because no matter what's going on, there's always something to be grateful for. And that'll change your energy field. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a difference between mental gratitude and breathing it in gratitude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Taking time to experience gratitude, I think is what this has just kind of confirmed for me again.
Hmm.
Not just thinking gratitude, but experiencing it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And even with this time of the lockdown, I think that a lot of us are looking at what we appreciate, what we want to carry forward from before to the future. And I think when we get into an anxious place or, oh my gosh, then
Mhm.
if we can just take just a minute or two, just to drop into that space of gratitude, you change your whole reality. Everything shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I like that one.
Good. You have a couple more as we go.
Okay, good. Wherever you
Okay.
take us, I'm going.
Okay. So, yeah, a couple of the things I use handwriting analysis, which is fun if I'm working with a client, a coaching client. And because I think the chart shows us potential, handwriting shows us how we're using our charts.
Mm,
Because the handwriting is not really your hand, it comes through the energy field. And so if somebody's writing straight up and down and they have a lot of water, but they've got, say, a air ascendant, then they're still, I shouldn't say still, but they're using their ascendant. Because if they've got water, they're mostly water, then they're going to have more of a little bit of slant to it.
sure.
So there are all kinds of things that you can see in handwriting that kind of give you a clue, because the chart shows us potential, but it doesn't show us the level of consciousness.
Right.
And so handwriting could help to kind of help with that. And there's actually something called graphical therapy, where you can actually practice making new neural pathways in your brain to, say, move into your sun sign, more of your essence. So you can just practice the certain strokes to help you
Yeah.
create newer pathways. Yeah.
Gosh, I just wonder what
Isn't
my,
that cool?
yeah.
Yeah, there are so many cool things. And then, yeah, the let's see, what shall we do? Oh, I was just going to mention that what falls into the category of energy psychology is also kinesiology. Are
Mhm.
you familiar with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I studied that in school, actually.
Oh, cool.
I was a dancer.
Oh, yes, you would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kinesiology and pendulum, things like that.
Mhm.
Um, that and so when I have a client that doesn't know their birth time, then I use kinesiology and the pendulum, and then I confirm with the ascendant the house the moon is in, and I use the Huber system, which
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's
Mhm.
amazing, and that oftentimes will help to confirm that the time is at least close. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. What another cool way to just energetically check in, which is kind of one of those principles in astrology that I continue to find where does it really matter which chart you're looking at? Your energies are your energies. So the story will be the same. We will find the pattern, the holdbacks, the potentials in whichever chart we're looking at or whatever
Mm-hmm,
method we choose as well. So
mm-hmm.
that's a neat jump to even confirm it outside of the chart that your energy is just your energy.
Right,
Mm,
right. Yeah, yeah. And it's fun to do if somebody already knows kinesiology or they're sensitive to energy, because you can have them do it on their own. And then when you get together, sometimes you have pretty close to the same time. So because there's a morphic field, and the morphic field, everything exists in the morphic field. And then the body knows what time it was born. It might not know in the head, but the body knows. And so when you could communicate through kinesiology or through energy psychology, it can give you some very powerful information. Yeah.
So we have a couple questions really quick.
Mm-hmm.
When you are doing the pendulum, can you do that over Zoom with someone?
Yes.
How does it?
Well, because there really is no time or space if you work in the energy field. So so there's a study by a man named Rupert Sheldrake, and I used to go to these science and consciousness conferences. And he was talking about how they did this experiment where they put a camera on a dog, a pet, and also one with the owner, and they were time lapsed so that they could watch the dog and then watch the owner. And so that's what they did, is they had the owner have a friend pick her up and go off to some village. It was in England, some village 20 miles away, and then they watched the dog while the owner was gone. And so the dog would, just kind of wait around, do his thing, whatever. And the minute she said, "I think it's time to go home," the dog perked up. It was like,
Ah,
she's 20 miles away. But in the morphic field, in the energy field, then there's communication. And so as the car got closer, and they used a friend's car because they said that otherwise you could say that the dog could hear their car, the owner's car coming home.
Sure.
But she came home in a stranger's car. And as they got closer and closer, he got more and more excited. So when she arrived at that door, he was already there.
Oh my
So
gosh. Wow.
so he's done a lot of work with the morphic field. And as we get more and more in tune with our own energy and our own trusting of our intuition,
Mhm.
then so when you're doing pendulum with somebody else, or even they're not there, I just connect with their energy. And then I just say morning or night, between these hours, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of leads you to the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I
Yeah.
think that was probably one of my favorite lessons in kinesiology is when our teacher taught us it's like it's your body is incapable of lying. It
Mm-hmm.
is we who sometimes misinterpret what the signals we've been sent are, but the body itself is incapable of a lie. And I
Right.
thought, well, dang. Well, there you right. That just kind of gives it to you straight out. No,
Mm-hmm.
this is what's going on. Your interpretation may be inaccurate, which is
Right.
beautiful. Makes medicine make a lot of sense as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As we move into other things. Yeah. And I think it also gives us another tool to be able to connect, or to not. Sometimes this is as silly as it is, but sometimes I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to wear, which sounds really like crazy. But
Oh.
then I kind of go, red? Nope, not red. Blue, and I just kind of check the energy, and you'll get very definite answers.
I don't think that sounds crazy at all. I do that
Uh,
almost every day, and I like to
oh,
touch
good.
things, and I'll know. And I'm like, oh, we are not on that today.
Yeah,
How about
as a
this
Taurus, you're
color?
probably really good with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a piece of my world, and I know other people out there are practicing that as well. So if you pick your
Mm-hmm.
clothes by energy, let
Mm-hmm.
me know in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Okay, so what
So,
what
okay, so
other
let's go. Where are we at time? Okay, yeah, let's start talking about how how I actually include these in my readings.
okay.
So, what I usually do is I always start with a prayer, or I do a short meditation before I work with a client.
Okay.
I just ask to get out of the way, let the highest good come through for them. And
Mhm.
then something that I recently learned from my tarot teacher, who's a psychotherapist, who said, half of the session is listening. And so really listening to where they are, and this again tells us how they're using their chart. And to recognize that when you come together with people, you create sacred space. It's like this special thing that's going on. And it's such an honor or a gift for us to be able to, that people trust us
Yeah.
with something as important as helping them with their charts. So anyway, I do think that that is part of my process, and I think it's really really important to mention. Yeah, and then I use the chart as a guide. So I usually, one of the things that I'm most passionate about is helping people to understand the default settings. So just understanding their basic chart and their tendencies are. And of course, we go into conversations about mom and dad and how they've been conditioned with the ascendant and so forth. And usually in that conversation, something will come up that a part of them knows there's an opportunity here. And they just happen to drop these little hints about something. And so I just make a little note. And sometimes there's one that is the theme runs all the way through. Sometimes we kind of choose which is the most predominant or the biggest problem at the moment, or the biggest block at the moment.
Sure.
But so that's kind of the overview. And then when we get to the end, I usually save a half hour. Um, and that and then this is just if the person is open to this. It's certainly not forced. It's on my questionnaire when introductory questionnaire, if they
Sure.
would be open to it. But then I started out using EFT.
Mhm.
Well, I actually started out using parts integration, which is part of NLP. And are you familiar with NLP?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's such a vast science, I call it. It's so fascinating, and the part that works so well for me with charts is when I see oppositions.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I was telling Sherby that I noticed she has a lot of oppositions in her chart. And I think most people have parts of their charts, either a quincunx or a square or something, where the energies are disparate or they're not friendly.
Sure.
Um, I do a workshop called Meet and Befriend Your Inner Committee because people, it's helpful if they know who all the chatter is in their head, the different characters,
Yeah.
and then to befriend them, to understand what their job is, how they're predisposed, and to work together so that we don't have, a lot of debate going on all the time.
Yeah. I definitely work with
So,
that idea and teach this idea of you've got to make your whole self the ally
mm-hmm,
so you guys can get the situation done.
right, right. And
Yeah.
so they're moving in the same direction
Right.
instead of trying to go in different places. So yeah, so that's another beautiful gift of astrology is understanding, your committee and what they're
Can
about.
you tell us really quick, just in case people don't have a clear idea about it, what NLP is?
NLP is neuro linguistic programming, and it works off of different premises. But two things that I found that I use is one called is learning sequence or how we communicate. So most of us are visual. We first see something, then we get either we an auditory response, we talk to ourselves, or we get a feeling about it. I'm a visual kinesthetic. It's called synesthesia. As soon as I see something, I get a feeling about it. Um, and then I talk to myself about it. And where this was so helpful for me is I was a business consultant, and my client was auditory, um, visual, kinesthetic. And so when they did this demonstration on the stage, it was so funny because one person is going, "Oh, look at that! Oh, it's so wonderful! What do you think?" And the other person was kind of like because
Right.
because
I can't see it.
they needed to hear it first, and so
Right.
it was so fascinating to see the difference between how we communicate and the sequence in which we process information.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge gift from NLP. And then another is just parts integration. So do you want it? Shall we try that?
Yes. Yeah. No,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. It's very basic and anybody could do this. So you in the audience, you could do it with us. So just think of your chart or think of different parts of yourself because we have different parts because we say part of me wants to, but part of me doesn't.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands out like this and you're going to imagine like one part, like in your case, Stormy, you might want to put Mars on one side and then Venus on the other, or whatever ones you want to work with. And so if you just want to close your eyes a little bit or close your eyes if you like, and just imagine the two that you're going to try to integrate and decide which hand is going to go in. So say Mars. So you take Mars and you put it in. So I'm going to put Mars in my right hand. And just imagine Mars sitting in your right hand and feel it. Just get a sense of what that Mars feels like, what your Mars feels like, depending on the sign it's in. And just feel the energy of that. And then on the other hand, put the other planet that you're trying to integrate. Just imagine that planet and just see the energies of that and kind of feel the energies of both of these different planets and see that they're different. They're sometimes opposite. And so what you do now is you just start to turn your hands. It's not going to fall out if you turn your hands so they face each other. So the energy is still with each hand. And then start to bring them closer together. And you just start to bring them closer and closer. And you'll reach a place where you start to feel resistance. But just kind of very gently move the energy closer and closer. And just bring them together. You can feel the resistance and then bring them very close and then clasp your hands and just see those two energies blending together. And then what you could do is just bring them to your heart and just imagine these two opposing planets, planetary energies now merged together and bringing them then into your heart.
Ooh,
Ooh, powerful, huh?
yeah.
It's so funny because you could put one like Saturn's usually pretty heavy, you know,
Sure.
that you can feel them.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
fun too, because I did Mercury and Uranus, and they have a color combination that has come. So that was very, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And also now I just like feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called parts integration. And yeah, because I don't think that because we have opposing planets that they have to stay that way. I think that it's really, I always tell my clients, it's a teeter-totter, where you decide this, and then on the other hand, and you
Yeah.
go back and forth. But when you can scooch to the center
Yeah.
and you sit in the middle, then you choose, say, so what do you think, Mars? And what do you think, Venus? And you utilize the energies of both again at the higher octave.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Meet in the middle because everybody's right.
yes, exactly. Everybody has something to offer.
Yeah.
Well, they're not arguing, but they're now working together. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're in control. They don't have control.
Right. They're not running wild out there. And it's like,
Exactly, or in here.
yeah. Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that was such a good experience too.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So
Yeah. It's
anyway, and
fresh.
you can see how that's easy to do.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
looks like it's going well in the chat too.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of little things like that we can do just to, I'm not saying you do that once and everything's going to be marvelous from then on, but you just do it, you do it to recognize that you can blend these energies.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a simple one that we could do right off. And then the one that I started with was EFT. And for those of you who don't know what EFT is, it's called Emotional Freedom Technique. And it works with the energy meridians like acupuncture. And so you tap on the energy meridians while you're using what they call an acceptance statement. And this is based on until you accept what's resisting, then you can't make a change because there's no place for that to happen.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you might say, um, uh, even though I feel like I'm stupid or whatever it is your brain chatter is, I still love and accept myself. And it's really big, So the chart, you can look at a chart and you can see, okay, who's talking that's causing the issue. So um, one of the first ones I worked with was a man. I had a coaching client, and her husband. She happened to say he wakes up every morning and throws up, and has been doing this for 5 years. And I thought, wow, that's not so good. So I said, you know, I I'd be happy to work with him if he's open. And so he came. And so his chart, I'll show you his chart. Um, sorry.
Wow. I'm so relaxed now. I feel like I don't even have anything to say. I'm like, good job, Linda.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So what I saw was, first of all, throwing up systemic issues, right? So we look at cancer. And then the story was that his father was really hard on him. So we've got Cancer, very, it's a very strong Cancer. It's got Jupiter right next to it in the 6th house. So Virgo house, a need to be perfect or that type of thing, squaring
Mm.
Pluto, right? So, and he's a Cancer, but he's got Cap rising. So oftentimes that, well, yes, oftentimes either the transit or one of the progressions is setting this off, but he's been dealing with this for 5 years. So just going with just the natal chart, you can look at this and see, okay, there's an issue going on here. So what we did is we just worked with the EFT at that point. That was all I knew. And so EFT, I'll just quickly show you how it works, is you tap on, you do what's called a setup statement with a karate chop point. So you can do karate point. So you can do this or this, either way.
Ooh, I like
And
this.
then you tap on the top of your head. So these are meridians, energy meridians. And then eyebrow, outer eye, under the eye, the orbit, under the nose, under the mouth, on the chin, then collarbone. And then this one is like a monkey or gorilla. You can go either this way or this way, but it's easier this way. And then the wrist. I did this with my auntie. She was 96 years old. She had compression fractures in her back, and she was in so much pain. And she was on morphine, but she was just so. So I said, Auntie, I'm going to come and see you with your odd niece. Who's going to come and do something weird with you. But would you be open? She said, yes. So anyway, I won't go into the whole story, but we started doing this and she said, Linda, monkeys do this. And I thought they do. They tap on their heads. I mean, they do these things.
Yes.
I thought, oh my gosh. But anyway, we just went through it as even though I have terrible pain in my back, I still love and accept myself. Now, this is interesting because she had a hard time saying that. A little Japanese, lady, they don't say, Japanese people don't say things like that. And
Sure.
so I said, Auntie, because she would get quiet. I said, Auntie, even though you're not saying it out loud, just say it to yourself. That's okay. And so we went through the sequence twice. I could see the energy coming into her. She was so like out of it. She didn't want to eat anything. They brought her food. No, I don't want to eat anything. And after we did this, it took like 5 minutes. She perked up. And I said, you want to go to lunch? She said, yeah. So we went to
Yeah.
lunch. She ate her whole lunch. I kept her out all afternoon. And, it's the man who came up with this, his name is Gary Craig. And you can go on YouTube or you can go on, just Google it. There's tons of different ways that this can be done. But he offers the manual for free. And
Oh,
I think it's just the universe saying, it's time to get over our old, whether it's pain or pain's usually from something psychological anyway. But anyway, to get over our stuff in a fast way so that we can move on to hold the higher frequencies as humanity is starting to wake up. And so when he offers this for free, it came in and he presents it. So it's not, you don't have to have a degree in EFT to do this. It's something fairly simple. So
wow.
anyway, I did this with this gentleman, this man, and I called a few days later and I said, so how you doing? He said, I'm sleeping through the night and I haven't thrown up. So it it's amazing, and it was even though, and as you do it, it's, you can start out with something simple like, even though I throw up every morning, or even though I'm so stressed, I throw up every morning. But what I do is as I go through the different points, then we drop into the deeper feelings of what's going on with it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, another one was I worked with a friend um, whose sister was on the East Coast. And so she bought her a session for her birthday. And so I said, why don't I come to your house and we'll do it online together? And so then you could be involved. And so that's what we did. So when her sister came on, I noticed her sister had Bell's palsy. And so part of her face was, different. Half was different.
Mhm.
And so anyway, long story, looked at the chart. And as we went through it, she really dropped into the how she felt about having this policy. And but even though I have this, I still love and accept myself. I do it with them, so I have my eyes closed. When I opened my eyes, her face looked different. I
Yeah.
was just amazed. And I would have made up that I just wasn't observant to start with. But I asked my friend, I said, "Does your sister's face look different?" She goes, "Oh my God." She said, "So and so, look in the mirror." And the lady, she said, "I don't have a mirror," but she said, "It feels so much lighter."
Yeah. Yeah.
So EFT is such a gift to humanity, and it's been used, with Rwanda, with the genocides, and it's been used for, they say it's one of the few things that really works for PTSD.
Mm.
So again, something relatively easy, free to use that we can incorporate into our sessions with our clients to help them move through different blockages.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's beautiful. And it seems like I think we've always been there, but now we have the solid knowledge and understanding that it's going to take more than just what we have in our synthetic kind of knowledge of
Mm,
things. Like we have to move beyond the super scientific approach and realize we've got to get into the realm of the spirit.
right.
Things are going to take these energetic kind of shifts.
Yeah.
It simply can't, it can't just be physical therapy twice a week or the shot or the pill. There's gonna need to be some energetic healing or motion happening if there's
Right.
gonna be some real significant change.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because it's time.
Yeah.
And we are quantum physics, I don't think anybody will argue with. Everything's energy.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Ah,
anyway, so so the next thing that what I feel is an evolution from EFT, although EFT still works for a lot of people for pain or whatever, but it's called heart assisted therapy. And this is, again, using the same type of thing, acceptance statements, but it's incorporating the heart.
mm,
And this is why I think it's even more profound. And the way that works is we put our hands over our hearts. Do you want to do this?
yeah, I'm in.
Oh, okay, good.
I
And
was
actually,
already ready.
so I did this. This for when I with my astrology hub thing. So some of you may be familiar, but it's deep in my heart. I love and accept myself. So just repeat after me
Deep in my heart, I love and
and
accept
accept
myself.
myself. And you're to breathe 3 times. Then you're going to flip your hands because we're working on both sides of the brain.
Mm,
So it's deep in my heart. I love and accept myself.
deep in my heart, I love and accept myself.
You breathe 3 times again.
Mm,
Then you're to flip your hands again, and you're to say, deep in my heart, I love and accept myself.
deep in my heart, I love and accept myself.
And breathe 3 more times.
Mm,
And then if I was working with a client, it would continue with deep in my heart, I love and accept myself, or even though I, whatever happens to be there. So, and at the end, we could do something where it's very simple to just work through certain things. But what Dr. Diepold, the he's a PhD psychologist who came up with this, says that whenever you do 3 breaths, you don't have to do the affirmation. You could just do 3 breaths, 3 breaths, 3 breaths. So 9 breaths. He says it's like rebooting your computer.
Ah,
Isn't that cool?
right. Control Alt Delete.
Mm-hmm.
Start over.
Right. But
Mm,
just setting yourself back up fresh, you know?
yeah.
So again, I thought, and I was just watching a video. If you want to know more about this, you can see a video where he's interviewed and where he said that psychologists take an oath that whatever they learn, they share. I didn't know that.
Wow. Yeah. I love
So,
that.
yeah. So he's very generous with his information on how to do this. Now he's written a book, and I actually got the book, but it breaks down to pretty much this. It's
Mm,
pretty easy to do. And of course because I bring in spirit, then it's not coming from my head. I know that I'm just a vehicle to
right.
assist with this. Yeah. So when you're working with a client, it's just important to really have their best interests at heart. And if I'm face to face, it's actually knee to knee and eye to eye, so that you're really with them,
Yeah.
um, energetically supporting them. And
Yeah.
sometimes I've gone into some pretty deep places, because what that does is, even though then you drop into what it is, and it's like taking an elevator down.
Hmm.
It's really fast. And I had one person, um, she had stellium in Virgo and lots of other things. I won't show her chart because there's just too much. But she during the session, she shared that she's OCD. She said that she cannot leave her house with a dish in the sink, or with the throws not perfectly, on the backs of the furniture or whatever. And she says, I'm late to everything, because she says, I'm tired of this. I'm 40 years old and I'm tired of this. And so something said, work with her. So I did it's called HAT, Heart Assisted Therapy for short. And so we started down the elevator, and she got to one place and she said, even though I hate my sisters, it's like you just go down and you say, so what are you aware of? And she said, I hate my sisters. I'm
Hmm.
thinking, wow, you know, came out of the blue, but that was
Sure.
there. And then, even though I hate my sisters, and then the next one was, oh my God, I don't hate my sisters. But what happened was, when she was a little girl, her sisters were acknowledged for being smart. Now she's got a Venus, Mercury, and Gemini.
Mm,
So her sisters were acknowledged for being smart. Well, she wanted to be acknowledged for being smart, right?
sure.
And she's Leo rising, so she wanted to be acknowledged for being pretty, you know? But no, they were acknowledged for smart and pretty. She was acknowledged for being neat.
Yeah.
It was her only sense of self.
Yeah. Wow.
So, so we did this. We did this work, and that was before I did inner child stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
amazing, you know?
Yeah. I think it's always so incredible, especially in the eye to eye work, that
Mm-hmm.
it's just when one human is eye to eye with the others, the impact at the level of the soul is, and it's like the blocks come down,
Exactly.
they disappear in that soul conversation. And I don't know about you, but I feel like every time that we get to have those good face to face, eye to eye sessions, I develop sacred ears as well. Like literally my
Yes.
ears feel like I'm not hearing like a human anymore. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing the nicks and the pings and the little golden nuggets of what's in there.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it's so
It's amazing. In fact, when I went back to look for different charts to use for this, I found that sometimes that just the energy of the two of us together showed things in the chart that I can't see now on my own. But like this one lady, actually the very first person I did after I learned this technique was a psychologist. I was at an energy psychology conference, and I was doing her chart after the conference. And anyway, and her chart, somehow she was talking about past life, that this was really bothering her, that she knew who she was in a past life. but she didn't know the whole story or how it ended. But the whole chart was going, oh my God, look at this. But when I was doing a chart before she brought this up, she had Moon Pluto conjunct in Libra. Something jumped out about that to me. I just thought,
Sure.
oh, that's kind of. And so as the session went along, she filled in more things. And so at the end, she said, she was really upset. She said, I feel like I need to go to New York and I need to visit the grave, or I don't know if there even is a grave for who she was before. And it turned out that she was uh, a New York socialite. She was, very prominent in that field, but she had a urge to go to the gold fields. So she and her friend went across the country on a train and joined the gold rush and went up into Alaska. And there's a book written about her.
Wow.
And so she said, that she da da da. And I'm looking at the train like, oh my God, look at this. And oh my gosh, look at that. And then anyway, so we did this process. I said, well, I just learned this. I mean, my notes were in the car already. I just, but I said, do you want to try it? And she said, yes, she did. So what we found was that she said that she in the hat thing as we went down and down, that she found herself, oh, I'm so sorry. She found herself that when she left her family, they disowned her. And she said that when she did get back to New York, because she wasn't sure if she went back to New York, but she found that she did go back to New York. And she said, when I died, they didn't even come to my funeral. And she just cried and cried. And it was so powerful, just to get to that sense of closure. Because
Yeah.
she said she felt like there was something going on. But Moon, Pluto,
Oh, yeah.
Libra, you be a little lady. If you're not the perfect little lady and appropriate at all times, you will die. Pluto right there. A lot of other things in the chart as she went on. I was going, oh my gosh, look at this. And oh my gosh, look at that. Even to the point of astrocartography, where her chart showed the Alaska and New York. And it was like, oh my goodness, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. You're just built with what you've got energetically this time to do that work. And we just can look wherever, but the
Yeah,
story's trying to present itself.
exactly.
Ah,
I know.
yay.
I know. It's so exciting to look at all this. So, I see that we're really getting short on time. I'm going to, let's see if I don't want to, I have another good story. And then I wanted to get to kind of a comprehensive one where I'll
Okay.
put the chart out and you can see. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other one, this one was interesting because he's a coaching client. And so when we met, he said that he was kind of feeling like that um, there's somebody at work that was nice to his face, but not, he didn't trust him. And I said, do you feel like he'll stab you in the back? He said, that's exactly how it feels. Anyway, he also had this really bad backache. And so we went into, we used heart assisted therapy, went down the elevator, and he went to a past life, again, another past life. And he was, because this is another person I looked at the chart and thought, oh, we'll get here someday, because he had Saturn conjunct South Node really tight in Scorpio in the 7th house. And Pluto was also in the 7th house. So you look at a chart, you think, okay,
Yeah.
there's something going on
There's
here.
something going on there. Some
Yeah.
enemies, maybe.
Yeah, there's something happening, and just so I figured down the road, because he was a coaching client, that we'd get to it. But anyway, we started down the heart assisted therapy, and bam, went into the 7th house. He said, oh my gosh, I'm a woman in that lifetime. And so, at anyway, just looking at the whole chart was like, probably he was married to a very domineering husband or so forth. And he got, as he went down, he got that, long story short, that his lover stabbed him in the back
Oh,
at the same place where the pain was. And anyway, it just goes on. But just so we get the story, and then when he comes out, the pain's gone.
yeah.
Pain's gone. And the man at work that he couldn't trust stopped treating him that way. Because I think the universe sets it up when you're time to heal, time to get through something,
Mhm.
They don't have to play that role anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that healing is like that phone call. You can keep like denying it and it's going to keep calling, right? The
Mm-hmm.
universe is like, no, this is the time. Pick it up. Pick up that
Mm-hmm.
phone. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so neat.
Yeah. And you look at the chart and it's all set up. I mean, it looks like, yeah, that's supposed to happen that way. So, yeah. So, yeah, the next one I'll do, and I have a bunch, but I think this one, since we're short on time, trying to get to the grand finale. I'll just pull this chart out probably before I put it on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, I love the practice of coming down the elevator.
Yeah.
That as well, and just in a little bit of a different format, but getting to that root thing that's down there. And it's so funny because there's this like justification of what it is. And it's like, oh, by the time you get to the justification, you're like 2 layers above the bottom. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get down here
Mm-hmm.
and root that thing out so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have a chance to grow again.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
I've been surprised at mine where I genuinely thought this was the issue. And then that root is like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually not even about the other people, right?
No, no, it's never about the other people. They serve us.
Mm-hmm.
The people that bug us serve us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're mirrors of us, right? They're
Yeah.
everybody's a mirror. So
Yeah. I'm like, you
yeah,
spot it, you got it, my friend.
right, right. Yeah. So this is a friend of mine. Um, and just recently, well, actually on Saturday, she contacted me and asked if I would do a chart. And she was in a hurry. So I thought, well, she sounds kind of desperate. So I don't normally work on Sundays, but I said, okay. So we work together on Sunday. And she's a shaman, and she does a lot of energy work. But the day before, I'm just gonna show this. The day before, she was told that she had cancer.
Mm.
And so looking at this eclipse was in the 6th house. So anyway, and then there's so many things that we could look at here, but we did the heart assisted therapy. And what that led was to uh, inner child, a really wounded, a couple, well, we all have a whole plethora of inner children, but through Stargate, you actually can take, like, because with the Stargate work, you work in the quantum field where there is no time or space. So the heart assisted therapy takes us to that area where there's an issue. And then usually I just say, can you remember the first time you felt this way? And that'll take us to this particular thing. So she had a mother who beat her. She was little, very tiny. And she remembers hiding under the bed, and her mother would beat her with a broom and poke at her to get her to come out. And she thought she was going to die. I mean, she said that she's screaming so loud the neighbors came over. That so you go back with the inner child, with the Stargate work, and you find that inner child, and you take her and you present to her that we survived, and you explain, why the mother treated her like that and so forth. And so you can get to that place. Anyway, there's so much to the story. I know that I'm trying to be mindful of time. So the other thing is that she's got all this Leo energy.
Yeah.
And so she's Asian. So to have all this Leo energy, that it's more masculine. And so she also shared that she was being um, severely teased for her nationality,
Mm.
and that um, this girl teased her in front of her teacher, and her teacher didn't say anything. It was just very blatant racial prejudice being displayed, and so she said she put on this whole tough girl,
Sure.
persona, so that that wouldn't help. So that in the inner child, we went back and found that little girl too, to reintegrate, to help to, because they feel abandoned. The
Mhm.
inner children feel abandoned, and to bring them back into safety, to help them feel accepted and so forth. So, but the real message with this one was this. I'm going to pull three. Oh, I know it's missing here. I'm missing some things. Pull this down. This is a case where it's really helpful to have the asteroids, and I've started putting Hygeia into.
Okay.
Yeah, because Hygeia is about health. So when you add more information to the chart, then you see this line of planets lined up right here. We've got Chiron in transit with the solar arc moon hitting the Eris in the natal chart. Now, she had a feeling that she needed to do ancestral healing. And the way I look at the fourth house, or the IC, is that to me, it feels like it's a portal to the ancestral line. And so through the heart assisted therapy, we accessed the ancestors went way back, and she found that she had uh, in her lineage, that they were poor in China, and
Oh,
that there is this real focus on material wealth. Well, she's got a second house moon with Chiron, and so she's very wealthy, but she still drives herself to make more money, more money. And
sure.
so we talked about how that, because look at the Capricorn stuff, it's not it's not exactly on it, but it's in the second house. So it's like she doesn't, to recognize, I don't really need more money, because she recognized no matter how much she had, she always needed more, you
Hmm.
know. And so to recognize you don't have to work so hard, and scrimp every penny, to because of the fear of being not self-sufficient and needing to. She said that it scares her to death to have to ever ask anybody for money. She could never do that, but to have the pressure of that energy your whole life, you know.
Hmm.
So but to see that it came from the ancestral line, and because she does ancestor work with her shaman specialty, that she knew that this was something that was up her healing. And
Sure.
as you know, with the Native Americans say that when we heal ourselves, we heal for 7 generations before us and 7 generations after.
Hmm.
So it was really amazing what went on in this session. And there's so much more here, and so much
Sure.
more that
Yeah.
we talked on. But I just wanted to show that we can actually, through heart assisted therapy, um, actually do some ancestral healing as well. So it's pretty amazing stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and so I gave you some references. I think we're on time. We're on time. But yeah, so I gave you some references where people can go to learn more about these things.
Yeah.
And if there's questions, then they're free to contact me. So I'm
Awesome. And
happy to help.
I'll make sure that all of Linda's contact information and the references and everything are in the description box below the video. So you can just click down there and check them out. And Linda, thank you so much. We all feel like we just had a human Xanax. So it's so funny. Like that's what even the chat, we were all like, wow, we're good.
Good. Oh, if you wanted to, we have time to do one more thing, just to finish the
Yes.
the hat thing for people to use individually on themselves. It's another version that actually I wasn't aware of, because this isn't what he taught in his workshop, but this is, I just saw this on his video, and it's the same as we do the 9 breaths. Since we've already done that, we won't do that again, just to set the stage. And then we do the acceptance statement. So it's, again, your hands over your heart. And it's deep in my heart, I love and accept myself.
Deep in my heart, I love and accept myself.
Even though I, whatever, you can choose whatever it is, but let's just say, even though I have anxiety about this pandemic. I figure that's pretty universal.
So yeah, I feel like that's pretty universal. Yeah.
So then we just breathe once. Well, we say that and then we breathe once. Then we flip again, because again, we're working with both sides of the brain. And so this, deep in my heart, I love and accept myself.
Deep in my heart, I love and accept myself.
Even though I have anxiety about this pandemic.
Even though I have anxiety about this pandemic.
And you breathe one more time. Then you flip your hands one more time back to the original. And it's deep in my heart, I love and accept myself. Even though I have anxiety about this pandemic. That's fine. And then just breathe one more time. And then you breathe. You could do this on your own. Just breathe 3 times, flip 3 times, flip 3 times. So it's kind of like a bookend. You set your energy, you do your acceptance statement, and then you close off with the 9 breaths again.
Yeah. Oh, man. So we've got some tips and tricks and techniques and things we can start to apply immediately as we even leave the eat and greet today. So I hope you guys will practice some of these things. If you feel like you can use some grounding, if you've got some healing that has presented itself, or curiosity even. Seems like it falls in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll definitely make sure you've got all of the information to contact Linda and see what this practice is about, and all of the resources as well to better inform your own practices, whatever it is that you're doing. So, Linda, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for getting us all.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes.
Absolutely. This was absolutely brilliant and beautiful. And I can't wait for us to connect again in whatever way that happens to be.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you guys for showing up. And hopefully we gave you something in this last hour-ish that was absolutely worth the time you took to show up. I look forward to seeing you later in the week, where we will have Patricia Walsh here, and we're going to talk about, we're going to get into these different Pluto generations. So I will see you guys on